there's a lot of different ways you can approach this topic and a lot of ways that you can approach contending in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Some
Yep.
people are more risk averse than other
Yep.
people. What are you doing right now? Are you trading away rookie picks? Are you being a little bit more conservative? Are you trying to cherry pick some veterans? What's your approach right now if you're a contender?
So first and foremost, I try and hold on to as many first round picks as I possibly can. And if I do start going down that route of okay, I'm going to start selling some future firsts, I start with as far out, as I can go. Obviously, 2025 is the next year. 2027 is 3 years out, technically. It's about as far as you can go generally. 2027 first don't generally hold a lot of weight in the market, but I will, take a stab at it and see if I can get that type of deal done. Because as a contender, obviously, the further out we look, the less we care about capital because it gives us all the more time to recoup that. As we say, there's so many ebbs and flows in Dynasty. Just because you're a contender doesn't mean you can't sell a player for a first round pick. Doesn't make it a good or doesn't make it a bad decision to do such a thing. So I'm generally trying to save my upcoming rookie draft pick, first round picks. Like those are gold to me, man. You got to pry those things away from me, or it needs to be a deal that guarantees me, a contending spot, like no worse than top three, and has stability going forward. As a contender, I can't see myself trading a first round pick for somebody that has like a max 3 year life shelf at their current value. For example, like Mike Evans. It would like he is a buy for me, but even he is somebody who is like, do I want to send a mid to late first round pick away for somebody who could be a wide receiver 40 or worse next year and the year after that? Because once you start doing that, you just really need to hope that you take your bets and they hit. Because if they don't hit, you lose capital, you lose shelf life, and you make two mistakes even, and you can kind of cripple your team for a couple of years. Because in a 12-man league, there's going to be some teams that are really good. So if you start shelling out early first round picks and you can't recoup those and you miss on your bets, you then within a year and a half turn from a contender to a rebuild. And that's how you blow up a team completely. Those first round picks and early to mid second round picks as well are very, very key in maintaining flexibility and liquidity within your roster. So, I'm pretty conservative with picks, especially when it comes to, recent first round picks. And then, a lot of channels, podcasts, etc. will talk about, pushing the chips in, using phrases like that, going all in. So I want to talk about, a little what does that mean? And it's going to mean different things to everybody. But when I hear that phrase, I think of things like selling capital, including first round picks, as well as selling more longer term assets. Guys like Ricky Pearsall, who are 1 to 2 years away from getting the true role that we see them blossoming into. For shorter term assets like Juwan Jennings, guys that don't have a super long shelf life, but are very, very valuable right now for the rest of the season. And then you're even potentially, throwing some second round picks in there too. So I usually will not push my chips in or go all in that sense, unless I think my floor is top three as it stands, and I can put myself above and beyond the others with such a move. I'm generally okay with moving mid to late seconds, and I'm very okay with focusing on the shorter term assets like that Juwan Jennings example that I just gave. But I'm very careful not to overextend myself by starting to give up too much valuable capital for the here and now.
I think that's wise. I think that's a good approach. And I will say though, if I am going to trade a future first, a future second, just a word to the wise, because like I said, I've been doing this a while. Been playing Dynasty for going on 7 years now. It's hard to believe. It's a lot smarter to trade your picks now than it is at the beginning of the season when you have no idea. You think your team's going to be
That is
good,
true. Yep.
right? Like you think it's going to be great, but we all know how things go. Like injuries happen, players underperform, all this stuff. So as close as you can get to the trade deadline if you have that super contender, if you feel as though there's a piece that can put you over the top. If you want to trade, I don't know, your second round rookie pick for a Juwan Jennings or a Cedric Tillman type that's just smashing right now that you think could be the piece that you need to go win a championship, I'm all for that if that's what you feel like you need to do. And now's the time to do that near the trade deadline. But I'm very much in the same vein as you that I'm holding on to those rookie picks for dear life. And it's going to take something really special for me to get off of them, either in a package or whatever the case may be. And it's gonna have to be a real difference maker for me. And I've got my list of players in mind that I would be worth. It would be worth it to me to part, a 2025 first round pick. Now I will say, and I usually don't get into the weeds with, oh, this draft class is going to be better than last year's draft class or the draft class 2 years from now. I will say this: I feel like the 2025 class, I like it, but I don't think it's as good as 2024. I'll just say that with the
Running backs
quarterbacks,
are much stronger.
the running backs are much stronger, but it's not nearly as strong at quarterback or wide receiver or tight end. Like there's no Brock Bowers in this class. So take that for what it's worth. So this year I might be more willing to do that than I was last year, but it doesn't mean that I'm looking to do that. It's not at the top of my priority list. Like I want to get rid of this 2025 first round pick for Mike Evans, like you said. I think that's a good example. That's a bad move. I think most people would agree with that.